really liked this filly from the very start, didn't you?
I've liked her since she entered the barn. I thought she was a special filly the first time we breezed her, and I really thought she would win first time out. It surprised me that she got beat, but she got away slow. Like you said, the race was packed with good fillies, but she made a really good move to come from 14 back to get beat 3 lengths, and that she showed a lot of promise in that race.
Dale, even though she's by Malibu Moon and out of a Mount Livermore mare, it doesn't appear that she's got a tremendous amount of sprinter speed. It appears like she's more comfortable going longer. What does she like to train?
She's push button. I mean, she's easy on herself in the mornings. She has a great turn of foot. I mean, you could use it in the first quarter if you wanted to, but you don't have to with her. She'll settle, and she'll run when she's called on.
Well, let's take a look at her last start. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Pocahontas. She is number 1. Dale, I thought this was just a brilliant performance. Robbie Alvarado really saved her for the last quarter of a mile when she kicked it in. Please talk to our audience about this performance, if you would.
It was a good race. I mean, she came out of the one hole, so we just let her settle, and she was back there, had one horse beat down the backside, and Robbie swung her out, and she went pretty wide, and it didn't matter. She just drew off when he smooched to her. He said she just exploded.
And Dale, as they're heading down the backstretch, and at the top of the screen for our audience, she's next to last on the fence, but she's settling in very nicely. In only her 3rd career start, Dale, she appears to relax very nicely and will do for the rider, in this case, Robbie Alvarado, whatever he asks.
Well, we were disappointed she got beat in her first start, but in the big picture, it might have been a good thing for her. She sat behind horses that day, and she learned to take a little dirt when she figured out when she swung out and came running, and it might have helped her in the long run. And Robbie says she has no problem sitting behind horses now.
Well, here she is going into the far turn. Robbie's easing her off the fence. She's in behind rivals, and now he's going to tip her 4 wide. And Dale, a 2-year-old filly in her 3rd lifetime start, going a mile, is about to run her final quarter mile in under 24 seconds. What did Robbie have to say to you after the race?
Oh, Robbie's going to New Orleans, and most of my horses are going to Florida. As soon as his feet hit the ground, he said, "I'll be with her in Florida."
He's not going to miss any start with this filly, is he?
No, he said, don't give the call to anybody else. He'll be there.
All right, Dale, how's she been training since the Pocahontas? How's she coming up to this afternoon's Goldenrod?
Like I said, she's push button. I mean, she's done everything we wanted to do with her. She's easy to train. She's good around the barn. You never know she's there. So, coming into the race, we don't have any excuses.
Dale, would you describe her to our audience from a physical standpoint? What's she look like?
She's very elegant. I mean, she's not a big, strong filly, but she's just the right size and very elegant and a nice feminine filly.
Dale, the one thing different today, it's only a 16th of a mile longer, but it will be her first try around 2 turns. Your thoughts about the 2-turn situation?
I don't think it'll be a problem. I mean, you don't, anytime you're doing something for the first time, you're a little nervous about it, but I don't think it'll be a problem. She's smart, and I don't think it'll bother her at all.
Dale, am I correct? Did you call her the best filly you've ever had?
I feel like she could be. I mean, I've had a few good fillies with Bia Valentine, Joint Effort, and some others, Rosa Robata, but she just does things that the others didn't do. I mean, other than Kitten's Joy and Roses and May, she might be as good a horse as I've ever had in a barn.
Wow. My goodness, that's saying an awful lot. Well, let's move on. Dale will be also represented in this afternoon's Kentucky Jockey Club by Jazz and the Magician. Dale, you entered them both, the Kentucky Jockey Club and the Remsen. What was that all about?
We were having a hard time making up our mind where to go. Our first preference was to go to the Jackpot Million, but it doesn't look like we're going to get in. So he's training here, and we'd entered in this race. And then there were a couple defections in the Remsen, and so we entered just in case it would be easy to get him up there, and plans kind of fell apart. We couldn't get there if we had wanted to. We have a big hopes for this horse. He's one that just keeps getting better all along. And so we decided just to keep it here where it's easy, run him in our backyard, and I think he's going to run good today.
Well, our audience is about to take a look at his only start from November 1st. This is a maiden contest. He's going to repel the favorite turning for home and go on to a good-looking 3 1/4 length score. Dale, talk about his debut and talk about Jazz and the Magician, if you would.
To tell you the truth, I wasn't expecting him to show the speed that he did. I thought he'd have a big shot, but I thought he was going to be his best when he went a little bit further. And when he showed the speed that he did and was able to finish, I told Mr. Zayat after the race, I mean, there's no limits to this horse's potential.
Dale, now he's a Birdstone colt, and this was 3/4 of a mile, and they're heading into the far turn, and our audience is, in a moment, is going to see him draw clear through the stretch. But you're going from 3/4 in a maiden race to 1 1/16 in a pretty wide open stakes race. Talk about the difficulty of making, that leap.
Well, the toughest race in any horse's life, I think, is the race after they break their maiden, and especially to go into stakes company and try to go around 2 turns. It's a difficult task, but I think this is a really good horse, and he's one of them that may be up to it.
Dale, do you feel that off the one sprint, he'll be able to not only handle the tougher company, but handle the additional distance as we watch him ease away from the favorite at the line?
It's a tough task, but I mean, we wouldn't put him in here if we didn't think he was special and didn't think that he would be one of the few horses that would be able to handle it.
Dale, you spoke briefly earlier about your plans. Please talk about your plans for the winter, and specifically, hopefully everything will go well today in the Goldenrod and the Kentucky Jockey Club, but specifically the plans for Sarah Louise as well as Jazz and the Magician.
Well, we're going to have our normal Florida division. The only thing different this winter is going to take 20 horses to the fairgrounds to give us an option of shipping over there and running some horses. Jazz and the Magician and Sarah Louise both right now we're planning on taking them to Florida. They may show up anywhere, though. We'll find the best spots for them.
Well, Dale, as always, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch, and all the best later this afternoon in the Goldenrod and in the Kentucky Jockey Club. And we'll look forward to seeing Sarah Louise very, very much, as well as Jazz and the Magician. And thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Good
Dale
luck
Romans,
there, Dale.
ladies and gentlemen, and you saw in the Discovery a talented colt in Lieutenant Ron not be able to handle
That's right.
the stretch out in the
That's
2
right.
turns. Now, Sarah Louise trying 2 turns this afternoon for the first time. I think this is a pretty talented young filly. I really do.
Yeah.
She faces Dream Empress, who ran huge in winning the Alcibiades.
Okay.
And she ran very big in running second in the juvenile fillies.
Absolutely.
To stardom
Yeah.
bound. Nobody's going to beat the winner that day. But so Kenny McPeak has got a very nice filly in there.
He does.
And but I think Sarah Louise is the real deal, and obviously so does Dale
No
Romans.
problem with the distance or 2 turns, none at all.
So I'm really
I don't see
looking
that.
forward
Yep.
to that. Now this afternoon at Churchill, all of the races are for 2-year-olds. Well, last Saturday at Aqueduct, there was a maiden special weight race for 2-year-olds at 1 mile. And in front is well positioned. I guess he's appropriately named. A 31-1 shot under Javier Castellano. You don't often talk about 31-1 shots. He's a 2nd-time starter, 1st-time blinkers. And something worked because he's en route to romp